Hey guys, welcome! Today I'm going to share with you my first hands-on try of the Air Cobra Airbrush, and I'm going to use it to shoot the Surfacer EVO by Gaia Notes. And at the end I'll show you a quick comparison of how it hand brushes versus airbrushes as well. Okay, let's go. Now if you're wondering about this product, Gaia Notes is a company like Gunzer, for example, and they mostly make paints, really good paints, and they make lacquer paints, and this is perhaps an equivalent product to something like Mr. Surfacer. Testing out the airbrush, I went very thin. I'm sorry there's no sound effects for this one. I had to cut it out because there was a kid going crazy next door. So it would be airbrush with kid screaming effects. Doing the much necessary lines that you'll see in every single airbrushing video, it works just fine. Like, it's a very precise, clean airbrush. Just what you would expect, you know, a high quality product from Ammo by Mig. I don't think I'm qualified on my first use to say how great it is, but it's very fine and precise. You know, I liked it. Okay, you didn't come to see me put paint on paper, it's all about paint on plastic, isn't it? And this is very thin. I thin this probably twice as much as I normally would, just for a few reasons. I've never sprayed this EVO product through an airbrush before. I've always put it, I've hand brushed it previously. I used it as a basing product just like this. Putting it through the Ammo airbrush, I was a little bit careful. So I wanted to try it very thin first. It's easy to add paint afterwards and thicken up your mixture. So you know, first things first, I try it ultra thin. And as you can see, it's sprayed on no problem at all. A little bit thin. The good thing about lacquer paints is that even if they're a little thin, so long as you don't wet it out too much, the drips will tend to self-heal. You can see a little bit there. You can tell that's a sign there. If you guys are new to airbrushing, see the little drips there in the foreground? That means that you need a little bit more paint in your mixture, which I did. I basically put in maybe double as much before to get it to that kind of, you know, the skim milk-like consistency, just so it left enough of a black residue on the side of the glass that I know it will be perfect for airbrushing. And then here you can see it. This is the Air Cobra in full effect, roaring at full power. I've got it cranked up to about 20 psi and I'm pulling all the way back on the trigger. Coming back to remark on the paint, if I could compare this, it seems to spray like about a Mr. Surfacer 1000, maybe 1200. I've thinned it basically to the consistency of normal lacquer paint that I would use, so it's quite fine. I'd say this product maybe compares most with a microfiller, and it did seem to fill in. Well, it didn't seem to, it did. It did properly fill in some of the imperfections and scratches I had on the plastic sides. And as you'd come to expect, you know, it works perfectly. There's nothing like airbrushing lacquers. They really are a superior product so long as you've got adequate ventilation. And just for those people who are interested, I am using Gaia Notes T07 moderate lacquer thinner, it's called. It's a combination of their Brush Master and the airbrushing self-leveling thinner. So if you're just going to buy one thinner from them and you have access to it, get that one, T07. I use it for pretty much everything. Wonderful product. Using that in a combination here with the Air Cobra made very short work of this. Wonderful process. I really loved working with it. And oh, that finish! Oh, and there it is dry. I mean, look how it really snuggles down onto the finish there. It's very tight like a tiger. And if you hold it up to the light, it gives you a finish that looks like this. It's pretty nice. Now for my buddies that don't have an airbrush, please don't feel left out. You can get a good finish with this paint by hand brush as well. Here it is stippled on to another base that I'll use for another model. Now you can see it's not better or worse, it's just different, and the textured effect can be really useful for some models. For a quick bonus content here, if you're interested, here's how I made the little base. It's a wood block, and I put some very thin cork across the top of it and clad it with 1mm plastic from Tamiya. Very easy to do. Also, as a friendly heads up, if you're in Sydney, Australia next January, Westfield Chatswood, they're holding the Gunpla Expo, hosted by my mates Bandai and Hobbyco. Please always support your local hobby shop. Support local. Special thanks to Ivan, MB, Grant, Con, and Simon. Watch the full extended cut series of step-by-step videos in HD on Patreon.